Well, good evening, Denver Bronco fans and Denver Bronco Roundup fans. It's the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. I am your host, Keith Brugman. I'm with Mr. Trevor Salzman. We are from the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Check out the Rocky Mountain Sports Network for all your Colorado needs, and sponsored by Willow Seasonings and Blends as well. Thank you guys so much for joining in. It's a Broncos win, but there's a lot more story than that. I'm sure we'll get into it all. Trevor, welcome to the show and say hello to all our fans out there.
Yeah, welcome in, guys. Again, gotta win. A win's a win. So however it transpired, a win's a win. Again, hopefully this team can get another one against the Raiders. That would be huge to snap that streak. No, I mean, just again, great Broncos win, and I'm glad they finally got it done at home. It was really good to see this team take care of business at home as they should. I think kind of the past 7-8 years, this home field advantage hasn't exactly been a thing. So. For the Broncos. So it's good to see this team finish on top, at least at home anyways.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You got to get those wins. A lot of what Sean Payton was talking about is, making sure that you're on the winning side as well. Getting a win the next couple of weeks will, obviously set us up for a winning season, something we haven't seen in a while. And hopefully that propels us into the future as well as we go into the 2024-2025 season. We'll have to start talking about that 2024-2025 season because it looks like next week is going to be our last week playing this year as the playoffs are now all but gone. The Bengals losing to the Kansas City Chiefs. That was the last one that last game that had any meaning that maybe kept us in it as the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Seattle Seahawks earlier and ended the wild card possibilities there as well. So kind of a disappointment, Trevor. I know that there was ups and downs, a lot of ups and downs in this season. At one point, it looked like it was all gone. Looked like we were going to be selling the farm. We go on a win streak. We kind of meander there at the end, and meandering at the end kind of got us the loss. Tallied the losses that kept us out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I just think getting off that 1-5 start really hurts you, and that's just thing in the NFL. You have to. I mean, if the Broncos even go 500, I mean, we're talking about them being in the playoffs right now. So just a really tough, way to start the season. And again, I just think again, it's not an excuse. There's many different excuses we go throughout the season of like, okay, Broncos should take care of business last week against the Patriots, a team that you should have won against. So it's just like, I mean, there's so many different games like, oh, this team should have won, but they also beat the Chiefs. So there's been a lot of ups and downs this season. And I mean, again, going through this off season, there's a lot of questions I don't think that have been answered up to this point. So, it's going to be interesting off season. But again, I think the formula is there for them to win. It's just, are the players there for them to win? That's the next thing. It's just, we'll see what happens in this offseason and what Sean Payton does in his second offseason of kind of controlling this roster.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to check in with the posse, the chat board here at the Denver Bronco Roundup. We got Jeremy Dressler coming in and saying, "Sup, fellows, go Broncos." Also saying it's officially Hate the Raiders week, which we always enjoy. Yeah, we have a game that's coming up, and it's another winnable game. Like I said, a way for us to have a winning season come the end of the year as well. Does make a good point. Says, at this point, I don't want them to go to the playoffs. Obviously, they're not going to be, but I kind of understand those feelings, man. Sometimes it feels like you're not deserving, and it doesn't feel like this is a team that was going to catch fire and make a run as it was. Just didn't seem like it had that motivation. Doesn't seem like it has that fire. Certainly has all the reason to maybe have a loss of direction as of lately as well. Not losing direction, I'm going to head back to the posse and say hello to Pearl here. Pearl, thank you so much for joining in. Always fantastic to see you as well. I'm going to go ahead and I'll end up checking in on my on the side to check in on some of these comments that don't come through. Guys, if you head over to streamyard.com/Facebook, that helps me out a ton. Gives them the permission to use your profile and your name and all of that as well. But we do have this coming in, and that's where I was getting towards it. We have a Facebook user coming in saying, "I have a question for you guys. Are we able to ask questions on the podcast?" And there's an absolute yes coming back towards you on that one. So, Kenny, our good friend, is saying, "Hello, gentlemen. What a lackluster game to watch, but it's what I expected. A low-scoring game, one with defense. By the way, Happy New Year, and let's all have a better 2024 with our football teams." And yes, be looking forward to that as well. And thank you, Kenny. Happy New Year to you as well. And if you guys don't know, Kenny's part of the K&K Sports Show. Check out the K&K Sports Show. Fantastic podcast. East Coast guys. They even have a nice little Denver Broncos show on Wednesday night. Need to check that out as well. That's with Kurt Valente. So, Trevor, I want to get to this. I know there's, like I said, there's a lot of drama and a lot of reasons that maybe we don't have that focus, especially this week. I want to ask you this, putting that all aside, Jarrett Stidham, obviously, in my opinion, is the guy that's, the third wheel in all of this, right? We have the Russell Wilson with camp, we have the Sean Payton camp, and stuck there in the middle with you is Jarrett Stidham, just trying to be your starting quarterback this week because that's what he's told is going to be happening. So that being said, thrust out there. I know that there's been all this hanging in the background for a while, but this is the first week he gets to go out there and take those reps. A lot of nerves probably going out there. Lost his last couple of games that he's been able to go out there and get a start with. Does go out there and get the start today. What did you see that you liked, disliked, and maybe was there any differences that you saw quarterback to quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, again, with Stidham, it's hard to evaluate him because he's had two starts up to this point since he's came here in this game, so he's still kind of new to the game with that. But I don't understand. Again, Sean Payton, in this game, I was expecting him to be a little bit more aggressive, and I don't think he was as aggressive in the passing game as I would like it to be. Now, again, Stidham, I think it's part of maybe Stidham just wasn't accurate to start the game, and I think Peyton was like, okay, I can't have him throwing interceptions. We can't be losing this game, so I'm not going to go with him. Throw the deep ball with him maybe as much as I thought we would do it. But I think in this game, Stidham, I think he was really good over the middle of the field. I think I really liked when he took off to run his that ability, let alone because I didn't think he had those wheels like that. But he can definitely take off the run. But what I like against him and Russ is Russ, when he runs with his head down, so he's not seeing the field at all. I mean, he's just
Mm.
determined to run. As soon as he doesn't have anything downfield, he doesn't see it. Puts his head down and runs. But Stidham, he looks up the field as he's running. So if there's something downfield, he can throw. I realized that with Jarrett Stidham, and again, it seemed like he has a better connection with Jerry Jeudy in this game than him and Russ did. So what I like from just Stidham, I just think it's his awareness at times where he's at. Also, kind of didn't like what when he spin kind of freaking out in the pocket like Russ did. I really don't like seeing that. But again, a lot of ups and downs from Stidham in this game. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I like his arm. He can really sling the ball down the field. I really do like that. Sometimes the balls were behind receivers, and sometimes they just weren't in the right place. And I don't think the connections were there. But overall, I thought he played well. I don't think it's like anything that we need to. Oh, we need to be start next season for this team. But I think he's definitely a serviceable quarterback for sure, in my opinion.
Right on. I'm going to go ahead and hit that the posse again because Michael Ronquillo saying good evening to Keith and Trevor, giving us big orange and blue hearts. Good evening, Michael. Always fantastic to see you. Thanks for joining in here. And we're talking a little, Denver Broncos post game. So if you have any questions or thoughts on it, feel free to jump in here on that as well. For me, I'm going to go ahead and I'll give you my 2 cents. I think I said it just before we got on. I think Stidham represents the type of quarterback that Sean Payton really wants. A little bit taller quarterback, one that can stand in the pocket a little bit better, one that can deliver over the middle maybe just a little bit better. But that being said, yeah, Jarrett Stidham, he rough spot to come in, man. Third wheel in between the Sean Payton and the Russell Wilson camps, just trying to get in there and get some reps in and trying to get some rhythm with these guys. And I think you saw some of those issues, like you said, throwing behind guys, not having the rhythm with them necessarily. I will say this: his misses for the most part on those timing type of throws were at least low, and if nothing else, they were making our receivers go down and try to get the ball, but wasn't putting the ball in precarious positions, at least on those plays. Now there was a couple of deep passes, as you pointed out, that probably didn't need to be thrown, or were just lucky, really lucky that it didn't come up interceptions. Jaleel McLaughlin, not really sure if he wants to do a flea flicker or not. Probably didn't help that situation out on one of those all that much, but um, that being said, we did see the playbook change a little bit in that regard. We saw it open up a little bit. It was my concern with all the drama that's going on throughout Broncos country was, does Sean Payton go out there and completely change this offense? To which then I think a lot of people would be saying, well, how come he never did this with Russ? Or, do you keep it the same? And then you say, well, if this is all we're going to get out of the quarterback anyway, this high school style of offense, then what does it matter, and why can't Russ be out there as well? And I unfortunately think, especially this week, maybe with the amount of preparation, we're certainly falling towards the latter, in my opinion. Trevor, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I didn't really see. I mean, you've seen a few plays change here and there, but I think that Sean Payton, again, I think it's just so hard to change that offense drastically right now, where the season's at. I think next year, maybe if Sean Payton does start kind of filling with some stuff in the offense and start making some tweaks to it. But this season, it's really hard to do that right now where you're at. And again, on top of that, you're asking a guy like Jared Stidham to start in this game. So I think it's just really hard for you put him in a really difficult spot. I think so. I think we saw a lot of the same plays, in my opinion. Some things worked, some things didn't that were different. But again, you're talking about two completely different quarterbacks in Russell Wilson and Jared Stidham. So a guy like Jared Stidham is more of a Sean Payton quarterback, probably, but seen Stidham kind of take off and run a lot of times too when he's in, and just prove he's not just a pocket passing quarterback. So,
Yeah.
but I think that he's more of a guy that probably that fits more Sean Payton. Yeah, does it really move the needle? I don't really know how much it moves the needle, but because I
Hmm.
think you've seen a lot good in this game. But again, that's a Chargers defense is really not so good. So again, I'd like to see Sean Payton be more aggressive, take those shots. What do you have to lose? This is your guy, big arm, throw downfield. I mean, that's just like what I could see that more in this game. Again, I think Marvin Mims being out in this game kind of hurts those chances too. So
Yeah, a couple of big, missing pieces, obviously, on that offensive side of the ball is Cortland Sutton obviously wasn't out there. Marvin Mims wasn't out there. Guys were filling in. We saw Brandon Johnson be a big part of this game. We saw little Jordan Humphreys come in as well. Judy picked up a little bit of production in this game, something that we had been hoping to see a little bit of. And boy, running game just seems like it's continues to still have its own issues. And Javonte Williams looks like he's ready for the season to be done. 1, 2, 3 Bermuda. So it's about that time of the year now that we've eliminated our playoff chances. This one comes in. I'm going to tell you this is going to be. It's going to be Trevor. Trevor is going to answer this because he says, "Someone tell me, how does it make sense to get rid of a guy and we have to pay $85 million regardless? This sets us back at least 4 years. We have no money to pay any other quarterback worth anything. How do you put this all into a guy that has no resume? I'm confused." Trevor, do you have any? Can you clear up all the confusion? I don't know if I can, but can you?
yeah, I mean, again, I'm not for this exactly. Again, I think that Sean Payton should try to make this work as much as possible. I do not a big fan of giving up on Russell Wilson after one season because the Broncos did pay a premium to get Sean Payton here, first and second round draft pick, and plus $18 million a year, one of the highest paid head coaches in the league. So I think coaches like to adjust to their quarterbacks regardless if that's their guy or not. I think it's more Sean Payton just really not liking Russell Wilson, and it kind of if you look at the Ian Rappaport report, if you guys get a chance to go look at that, because that shows a little bit of insight on when Sean Payton was getting hired, was he was really worried about having Russell Wilson as quarterback in the first place. So just kind of worries me in general, just like how much Peyton exactly wanted Russell Wilson to succeed because that's not his guy. But it makes sense. I mean, because you want a quarterback that fits your system. Russell Wilson, again, he's had problems seeing the field. There's no doubt about that, and he has struggled this year. The general numbers aren't going to show you that, but you look into it more, it will show you that. And again, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it really doesn't. But again, in Sean Payton's mind, it does because he wants his quarterback and he wants to run his offense, not an offense that he has to dial down for Russell Wilson, a guy that he already doesn't like as far as his quarterback going forward. So, $85 million, a lot of money, not a lot of time to change. But again, you can split that into two. If you use the post June 1st designation, you can split that in two. So it won't be as much this year. You'll just be paying Russell Wilson's cap hit for this season. The $50 million, what kicks in 2025, that's going to be a little hard to swallow. So for
Mm.
him, Russell Wilson not to be on this roster, and Wilson will likely, if he goes somewhere else, he'll sign for the minimum because he's already getting paid a ton of money from the Broncos. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I don't think that Jared Stidham necessarily will be the guy next year. I think you're going to have to address quarterback in the draft if you're going to get rid of Russell Wilson.
Man, and if I'm going to give you my answer, man, because I think this is an ugly, ugly, ugly situation that actually rolls back quite a while. If you think about it, we were still waiting for a Walter Penner group when we end up getting Nathaniel Hackett, and end up getting a Russell Wilson. We were in a position where we wanted to try to make big changes and make big swings. The thing is that this organization is yet to be on the same page. We don't stay consistent enough with a piece or a part in order to make sure that we're all have all the gears meshed and moving in the right direction. So we had an old ownership group who brought in a quarterback and a coach. We get rid of the coach. We end up getting the new ownership group, and we end up signing an extension and getting a head coach. Everything is off schedule, and nothing's ever working and coordinated at the same time, going in the same direction. And because of that, we're in this situation now. We're in the situation where we have a coach that didn't necessarily want the quarterback that's one of the top paid in the league, and we have an ownership group and a GM who no weren't part of each other to begin with. The ownership group inherited the GM. It's a lot of messy and moving parts, and it puts us in this terrible situation. So the only thing is, and I haven't read all the reports, had to do a little bit of, I had to work on this day as well as watch the Broncos, which I call work as well, but it's really not. So be quiet. But that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I lost my train of thought now. I started
Well,
giggling off. Go ahead,
I want
buddy.
to throw something in for Keith. Where we're at right now, there is a lot you can't blame it on one person. It's not one person's fault. I blame, for me, it's everybody that has their own hand in this where we're at right now. That's George Payton, the GM, for trading for Russell Wilson too early. That's
Hmm.
That's the Walton Penner group because they were part of the Russell Wilson extension. Don't just blame
Yep.
this on George Payton because George Payton traded for Russell Wilson, but the Walton Penner group has to sign off on the extension, and so they have a part in it as well. They brought in Sean Payton, so if the Sean Payton whole thing doesn't work, that's on them because Greg Penner he was the part that brought in Sean Payton here. So that's and
Hmm.
that you had to give up something once again for a head coach. And now it's on Sean Payton because he doesn't want Russell Wilson here. And Russell Wilson isn't playing good enough to be here right now and to be the starting quarterback. So there's so many different layers to this. It's not just one or the other. It's so many different layers. It's a problem right now with this team. Plus, this roster just has not. You haven't had the draft picks to constantly build this roster up. You've been trying to fill holes through free agency for the past 2-3 years now. When you don't have first and second round draft picks, and you're constantly giving up a premium for a quarterback and a head coach, it's not working out right now. You're taking big chances, and it's not where you need to be. So taking that big chance, it's not rolling the Broncos' favor whatsoever. Now this is where you're stuck with limited draft capital and you're over the cap. So now you're having to you're gonna have to maneuver that going forward. But that's the price you pay when you go big time with the head coach and with the quarterback.
By the way, good thought-provoking question there, Antonio. I appreciate it coming in on Facebook on that one as well. Kenny's coming in. He has a couple different questions. So I think I'm going to go ahead and I'll hit this first one. He says, my question, do the Penners step up and say to Peyton, if Stidham stinks next week and says we need to make this work, with Russ. He gives us the best chance to win, and we owe it to our fans. That's coming in from Kenny Kirkpatrick. The problem is that again, I don't think this is all Sean Payton. A lot of this is contractual and money, and this is where it all started. You know, I heard, you see a lot of different sides to this. I think that Russ is definitely making this seem like it's really bad on Russ when he's going to end up making out, at least financially, quite well in this deal and be able to sign really wherever else he wants to play. There's I don't think it matters if he goes to Peyton and says, "Hey, you need to make it work with Russ." Who needs to make it work with Russ now is the ownership group and the GM and the people who have the dollars and the strings and the contracts. Because if you want Russell Wilson here, um, after the hardball you kind of played earlier, I think you're gonna have to figure it out. Now that being said, Russ has been somewhat adamant in his appearances that he wants to be here as a Bronco. Is his first choice. He wants to win championships here. So, you can kind of call him to the table and say if that's the case. But what are your thoughts on this? Is there any chance that somebody inserts themselves into this decision between Stidham and Russell Wilson?
I don't think you can as ownership. I think you need to trust your coach that you just paid a premium to. You give him and George Payton both the power to make the decision what's best for the organization. Again, that's a lot of money to eat off of Russ's contract for him to go play elsewhere next season. Um, it's hard to say. I mean, again, Russ says he wants to be here and all that stuff. He's not going to come out and say, "Oh, I'm going to badmouth the Broncos" publicly. He's not going to do that. But I don't think that relationship can work. Sean Payton, it was clear early on that relationship wasn't going to work anyways. I just like
Mm,
how can you really win with that? And with everything coming out now, can that really be reconciled now? I mean, it's just like I just really hard for me to see that happening. And I think again, I think Payton likes Russ. I just don't think he likes him to coach him right now, and I don't think he's his style quarterback. And again, Peyton's really stubborn. He wants this guy, so that's completely different, from I think what the ownership wanted early on. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I think that I think the Penners really put full trust in Sean Payton. I think you have to at this point. You get involved, I think it's going to make things worse. Again,
mm.
they're going to have to sign off, and Russ Wilson being let go if that's what they decide. But I think you have to kind of trust Sean Payton and let him work, and let him work out whatever he needs to. But I don't see ownership really coming into play right now. You have to trust. I think your guys that you empower to make that decision.
Agreed, agreed. Got young Tyrone coming in here, and good topic. NFL Players Association said it was illegal for them to bench Russell Wilson. Yes, to an extent, that is very absolutely true. You can't go out there and you can't bench guys to try to get them to change their contract. That being said, if there's a performance issue or you want to make sure that you're not putting yourselves in a liability position, i.e., you're right at the end of the season and there's a big clause that says if he gets hurt that you have to pay him. You can absolutely end up doing that. But what you can't say is we want you to completely cut that out of your contract. If not, you're riding the bench. Well, that's just saying, hey, you need to take a pay cut if you want to take the field, and that's not allowed. That's certainly not allowed. It was brought to the attention of the NFL Players Association. No actual paperwork got filed, and they all got a good stern talking to, and we moved on from there. But absolutely right, you can't end up forcing a guy to renegotiate his contract and bench him if he doesn't do so. So ugly enough business as it is. So don't need that happening as well. So
No, no.
uh, Kenny says, I'm not 100% sold that Russ is gone. Yes, it looks like the Penners are billionaires for a reason, and it's not giving away $85 million. I would absolutely love, our backside chat gets a little bit fun, a little bit feisty at times, and I guess if nothing else, I could say it here. There's nothing that I'd love more than for Russell Wilson to be our quarterback. Financially, like Antonio said earlier, it makes the most sense. It makes the most sense for Russell Wilson to be here, for us to bring in a rookie quarterback, to start grooming him behind Russell Wilson and be able to easily turn that over at the end of Russell Wilson's contract into something else. I think we have all a lot of parts and pieces in place, and we could continue to build, maybe have great playoff runs, maybe even a Super Bowl run with Russ in the next couple of years, but certainly come out of it in a good position. It's very, very difficult to just throw away $85 million and still have to go out and get all your quarterbacks and all your skill players and all your line guys and your depth and your it's going to be very, very difficult. If nothing else, it would have made a lot more sense for them to just continue with Russell Wilson.
Well, that
It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. So,
Yeah, and I'm quick to know. Like I think this game proves more than anything, it's not just Russell Wilson. So going from there, be worried how you acquire a quarterback. Why I say that is you want to. We talk about trading up again. We'll get into this more into the offseason, but kind of already there, kind of. But again, deeper into the offseason, closer we get to the draft. But
mm,
kind of trading for a quarterback when you have limited draft capital, it's just you're gonna have to be worried about making trades now because you are so not only financially, but draft pick wise, you don't have a lot right now. So we got to be worried about how you acquire things. And again, that's why I wonder. Again, I agree with Kenny. I don't think that's 100% that Russell Wilson's gone either because he is the backup quarterback. So why financially it makes no sense for us to even be in the building right now. You're stuck with that $37 million guarantee. If he gets hurt,
mhm.
you're stuck with that. And so again, Russell Wilson practices next to Jared Stidham. So he gets hurt in practice, $37 million guaranteed, 2025. So I think while I don't agree 100% that they're not moving on from Russell Wilson, I think more than anything, Sean Payton realizes that hey, the playoff chances are not great. Let's see what Jared Stidham can do in my offense, and then we can make that
Mhm.
evaluation at the end of the season. We've seen enough of Russell Wilson in my offense. Let's see what Jared Stidham can do the next two games and make an evaluation there. So I agree with Kenny on that. I don't think Russell Wilson's 100% gone. I just think it's likely with what everything that's going on right now, with everything coming out in the media and just them kind of seems like it's more of back and forth between the two, and it's hard for me to see Russell Wilson here, but I don't think he's 100% gone yet. I don't think that decision's been made yet.
And I don't think so either. I was trying to recall it. I'm going to bring this up first, though. This says this is from Antonio. Said, with all that being said, doesn't it make sense to just let Russell Wilson play out his 2 years since we have to pay him anyway and see what happens instead of getting a bum or a rookie and we stink for the next 3 years. Um, we the fans deserve more than that for real. And yes, I agree, man. We are deserving of more than what we're getting, man. I don't disagree. I wanted to get back to this, and like I said, former GM, I heard him talking about this and the Russell Wilson situation to begin with, especially from that GM side of the business. Like he said, I do not blame the Denver Broncos for doing what they did. They went out there and they asked, and all they're asking for is more time before that decision comes made. And like he says, as a GM, you're looking for, sometimes you're looking for 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever you can get in order to try to buy the time to make the best decision for your football team. I think this was more of a decision as a football team. Like you said, I think now that it's there, you have to see what you have in Stidham in case you can't turn back. But at the same time, it's a bit business decision, and I'm hoping that they can all keep it as such and not get emotions too much involved and still be able to come to a decision that's best for the Broncos come this offseason. And maybe that does mean a reunion of Russell Wilson and Sean Payton on the field in 2024. Real quick one to hit the posse again. Dave Glassman coming in over here on YouTube. Thank you very much for hitting YouTube, our preferred platform for watching live like this. Happy New Year, Broncos fam, and Happy New Year to you, Dave. Appreciate it so much. Got Roger coming in here. Roger says a lot of big swings and misses. I sure hope we can land a home run soon. Beat the Raiders. And I love that one right there, man. Martin's coming in. Martin says, we need to find a team that Russ is willing to be traded to and wants him. Tell that team we'll pay half of Russ's salary. And let's see. That way we'll be down to only about 40 million instead of 80 plus. Boy, this is just my thought. I'll let you go off on this too, Trevor. Right now, I would, as any other team, I would just sit and wait. I don't think that there's any reason to trade. I think the most likely scenario. So you got to have someone who's just in love with Russell Wilson and doesn't want to wait for him to hit the open market, which it sounds well could happen almost any time. Honestly, it needs to happen before the league year, the fifth day of the league year, right? As long as we don't hit that date and Russell Wilson's healthy, we have any time between now and then. But what are your thoughts? Can we get somebody to ante up and trade for Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Again, so much is that is going to have to happen for that to happen. I think Russ would have to agree to restructure his contract. That would be the only way that a trade would happen. And again, if you're a team, I guess if you want to get ahead of another team to sign Russ, then maybe. But again, Russ Wilson has a no trade clause, so he'd have to waive it to go to that team and be willing to restructure. So many just different roadblocks there that I think kind of just doesn't work in the Broncos' favor. Again, ideally, if the Broncos, that would be ideal. Trade Russell Wilson because that helps with the relief of the dead cap. But again, you're probably not going to do that. You're probably going to end up seeing if the Broncos move on from Russell Wilson, they're going to end up releasing him, having the $85 million in dead cap. But again, probably going to have to split that up in the next 2 years. It's really hard for teams to just eat all that $85 million in one season. It's never been done before. So it's just like it's got to be really hard for the Broncos to do under the cap construction that they have right now. $18 million over the cap. It's just I don't see that happening. Russ Wilson likely released, not trade. It's more than likely if he is gone.
Yeah, yeah. And I got another question for you because I think it brings a little bit different discussion up. Roger says if Russell wants to be here, he'll have to take a hometown discount. We can't afford anybody right now. Um, I'm going to put that whole Russell Wilson needs to take a hometown discount. I don't think there's any reason that Russell Wilson obviously wants to renegotiate for a lower contract if he already didn't want to be part of that push of the $37 million guaranteed in an injury clause. But that being said, I like the second half of this. We can't afford anybody right now. Right now, we are projected to be $18 million over the cap, even if we just had Russell Wilson as our quarterback next year. How are we in that position? And what is the solution? Let's say even if Russell Wilson does come back.
Yeah, I mean, the solution would be ideally draft a rookie quarterback. Probably for me, it'd be depending on where
Well,
the
no, wait a
Broncos.
second. We're already $18 million over the cap. Drafting a rookie quarterback is not going to help me there, man. I,
Well, so you're talking about draft the flexibility in the cap, or are you talking
Well,
about
well, I'm
get a
talking
affordable
about heading
quarterback?
into this offseason. If we just let things go, Russell Wilson's our quarterback and all the contracts and the whole 9 yards. Sources were reported as that we were about $18 million over the cap. We'd have to go ahead and cut that back. The thing that concerns me is Russell Wilson's contract really hasn't hit yet. That's the next 2 years that it really hits. Russell Wilson isn't necessarily affecting the cap like we think it is, at least not this year. Now, again, next year it'll start to do that, and that's when we'll go 18 million. Is it all Russell Wilson in that contract that's pushing us, or is there other things for the Denver Broncos that have got us over the cap? And when will we see relief so we can start adding the pieces as Rogers kind of getting here?
Well, you have a lot of you paid Mike McGlinchey big time money. You paid Ben Powers the big time money. So right there, you spent what over $100 million in the offensive line right now, just combined. So you're spending a lot of money in areas where they are needed, but again, are they working out as much as you'd hope? They're gonna restructure contracts. They're not gonna be just $18 million over the cap and not restructure contracts. Cortland Sutton, DJ Jones probably a cap casualty because he just has not played well this year. You're gonna have to create cap room, but again, it's a lot of it's coming from these this money that you're paying players that you paid last offseason. Again, why did Sean Payton go out and spend the money that he did last season, first year in Denver? If you're just going to release Russell Wilson, that's a big question that needs to be arose here because that's just mismanaging of the cap. That's what he did with the Saints, and I think it's just kind of irresponsible in my opinion. It's why I'm really worried about him even having the final say what happens to this roster because again, he just dips in too much of the cap and he just wants to keep pushing down the line, whatever what you can do, but it just really restricts you on what you can do. But I mean, again, we'll see what this team does going forward, but you just expect to see restructures. This team won't be $18 million and nothing's going to be done. They're going to have to make moves in free agency to get the hole to fill the holes because you can't with right now the Denver's draft capital. They aren't going to have enough to fill the holes that they have. Like maybe they have like 5 picks total right now, so you're just not going to have enough to fill all the holes that you have. You're going to be dipping your toe in free agency. Guy Jameis Winston, keep an eye on him. He's making the minimum this year. He's not going to be asking for a ton of money, so that would
Mm.
be a guy that keep an eye on if Stidham isn't Sean Payton's guy going forward. Oh, by the way, he's not tied to Jared Stidham. At the end of the season, they can move on from Stidham. He has the potential out in his contract, so they're not tied to Stidham. They're just a trial.
Yeah, I mean, we can cut him. I think I was looking at it's like a $6 million cap hit. Where I think he's, so it's you can you can move along. It wouldn't be the end of the world. We've certainly seen players come and go for a lot more on their contracts than what we have wrapped up into Jarrett Stidham. Um, and Antonio's coming in and saying, guys, we lost the Commanders, Jets, Patriots, Raiders, all at home. All that's Wilson's fault. Come on, guys. At least point at some point, coaching comes into play, and I absolutely agree. I think that for one reason or another, and this was my conspiracy theory that I had in my head right before we got on. A lot of people, including Mark Schlereth, was out there saying that this is a high school like offense that he has Russell Wilson running, right? A very basic, very vanilla style offense. Well, there's a couple of things I think that's going on. Once again, brand new system, brand new head coach. Every single player, just not the quarterback, has to get into this system. He talked about, how he would ramp this up, and once the team and the ideas start stacking, and we can start really opening up the playbook and start making this larger. But when did we hear that Russell Wilson might start getting benched? That was all the way back in October, when right after the Kansas City Chiefs, the win over the Kansas City Chiefs, right? So at that point, at any moment, I think everyone is on high alert that it might be Jarrett Stidham at quarterback next week. And when that's the case, how complex do you want to make this offense if all of a sudden tomorrow it's Jarrett Stidham rather than Russell Wilson? I think they held on to that. I think this was a very basic offense that Sean Payton has put out there. I don't think he's put his best out there. I don't think he's made the best decisions at times this year. Um, whether that's just being in the booth just a little bit too much, or being in the studio a little bit too much, and just trying to get used to it. But certainly, wasn't overly impressive, especially when it came to maybe, throwing a challenge flag or two. So, yeah, I agree with you, Antonio. I'm not going to go ahead and I'm not going to say it's Russell Wilson's fault. The one thing that I will say is I think just like any coach, there's a certain type of quarterback that you're looking for. Like any coach, there's a certain type of linebacker you're looking for. Like any coach, there's a certain type of running back that you're looking for that fits your scheme, that fits the way that you do things on the field. And I don't think that necessarily that Sean Payton and Russell Wilson are that perfect match. And, because of that, I think that it's better sometimes if you switch a quarterback, even if it's not a better quarterback that you're switching to. Um, I'll let you get your thoughts on that, Trevor, as well, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not all on Russell Wilson. That's the problem. And I agree. Again, I don't agree with them moving on from Russell Wilson right now because again, I don't see a necessarily a better option. And I think it's concerning when your head coach is already wanting to move on from Russell Wilson, your quarterback that you already had in place when I mean, it's his first year under the same under a different scheme. And again, Russ has not had really any help here in Denver. I would say, again, two different offenses in two different years. You can argue that this rest of the roster is not ready to compete right now. Both the defensive line's not where it needs to be yet. Like you argue, linebacker, offense, he has no vertical sure threat tied in right now. He has no wide receivers, really wide receivers other than Sutton. I would argue again, this game kind of proves it. Yeah, Judy had a better game, but is he wide receiver two going forward next year? I don't know about it. I mean, about that. So I just think there's a lot of different areas to this offense why it's not succeeding, not just one. You can't just put the blame just on a quarterback. And I think this game proves that what Jared Stidham did today. No running game in the second half. You didn't get much help there. yeah, the receivers were better because you could throw the ball in the middle of the field. But again, Russell Wilson's really never been a middle of the field guy. So again, there's so many different things that you have to unravel here and layers to it that it's not just Russell Wilson. That's the thing is this roster isn't where it needs to be, and you have limited. You already are limited with the draft capital and salary cap going forward. Why are we trying to address the addition by subtraction? You're trying to get rid of Russell Wilson, but again, you're going to have to find a quarterback. How are you going to do that with limited draft capital and where you're at in the cap right now? That's what's really it's kind of mind boggling to me right now. And it's like, what's the plan going forward? Are we really want to go forward with Jared Stidham? I mean, it's possible, but that's why I think the stubbornness comes from Sean Payton. He wants his quarterback so badly that I think it's like, okay, where's the rest of this roster at? That's what you got to evaluate, not just one position, because you're not just a quarterback away from being in the Super Bowl or the playoffs. You have multiple holes in this roster that you need to fill, and you can't just neglect that by just because you want a quarterback that fits your scheme specifically. Because again, best coaches to adjust to their players and make it work.
Yeah, I'll agree to some point. I'll say this, man. There's a reason that you bring in Sean Payton. That you didn't bring him in because he's this highly adaptable coach that can run any quarterback, any system. Uh, I think I think you hire a guy for a reason, and that reason was the type of offense that he was able to manufacture for years and years, and you need the pieces and the parts and the tools in order to make that happen. I just don't, you know, yes, you want to be able to adapt. Yes, you want to be able to try to make it work. And hey, a good friend of mine said all the reasons that they are all the ways that they end up adapting to Russell Wilson. Like we said, this is not a Sean Payton offense. This offense is much more adapted for Russell Wilson than just trying to make him go out there and play like Drew Brees. We already tried that last year. That didn't work at all. We didn't trade anybody at the trade deadline. We could have got rid of Jerry Judy. We could have got rid of Cortland Sutton. We could have done a lot of different things. We did spend the most in the offseason and mainly around offensive line pieces in order to try to help out the offense and the quarterback and the system. So I don't think he's completely just given up on Russell Wilson. I don't think he's only thinking about the quarterback only. The offseason showed that, keeping the investments in the right wide receivers for this year and maybe beyond shows that as well. I think that again, I think we're in our infancy and we're in a win now society, man. We want everything instantaneous. I still remember when we started this season and there was a lot of discussion if we doubled our wins, would it be a winning season? Would it be a win for the Broncos? And a lot of people were like super ecstatic if we could double our wins. And we're going to be dang close to it. Come here right here soon. So, I know that there's a lot of drama, but I also want everyone to kind of maybe trust the process. And who knows what that process looks like? Still could be again a Russell Wilson, Sean Payton reunion. I wouldn't 100% rule it out.
Well,
Um,
and
Go ahead, buddy.
just real quick, one quick to add. Again, there's still something on the table for Sean Payton. He's got to prove that his offense can be a top 10 offense without Drew Brees being in it. Just saying, his last year New Orleans was not very. It was very mid tier. So he's got to prove that he can win without just Drew Brees being his quarterback. And Drew Brees is a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. So it's just like
Hmm.
he's got something to prove too. It's not just Russell Wilson, it's Sean Payton too. So
Yep.
just something to quickly add in there.
Yeah, I agree, man. Roger asked, why did Sean Payton take the job then? I mean, he had other options. I'll say two reasons. One, I believe this was the top offer offered by any NFL team that he accepted for the Denver Broncos. Very similar, though. He has owners that have pockets and deep pockets and were willing to do just about anything. And you can't say that for every organization. Some of these organizations, for instance, a lot of people said he was going to hold out and just go to the Chargers. The Chargers are probably one of the most cash strapped organizations out there. And usually, well, that's why they're sharing a home, instead of having their own, just as an example. So I think those are two reasons. What are your reasons, Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what the money he got offered, and plus he was gonna be able to. I think there were some other kind of twists and turns in there where if he didn't, uh, didn't want to keep Russ, he could have the flexibility to move on and have basically full roster control of what he wanted to do. again, that's kind of hard for teams to give up sometimes. So I think he wanted that in particular, full roster control on top of being one of the highest paid head coaches in the league. I think that's those are two biggest things. And again, stability of ownership and ownership that really truly wants to win. Because I do think, end of the day, Sean Payton truly wants to win. How does he go about that? Post New Orleans, that's going to be the biggest question. And so I think he definitely does want to win. Though I'm not trying to put the narrative that I hate Sean Payton or anything. This. I just question some of the things that he does and has done in New Orleans, that especially towards the end of his era in New Orleans, that it's just questions to me that need to still be answered going forward. And we're probably not just going to get that this year. It's going to have to be the next couple of years. I don't want to fire Sean Payton. I just we need to see more of a sample size in the next 2 years, because we can't just keep just going through this whole head coaching carousel and stuff like that. That's not going to work. You have to stick with your guns and see what you got.
Roger's jumping in back in here, and on the same topic, I would just want to answer this. He says, "What does deep pocket means if you have a cap?" I don't know how that works. For me, Roger, we have the. It could be a multiple things. For A, we came out and we had one of the worst locker rooms graded by an outside source. That's all going to be changing. We've flipped and put brand new field on. On Power Field at Mile High. We've put new turf down multiple times throughout the season at a cost of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Um, Even all the way down to, yes, you're paying that head coach, good money, but what if that head coach really wants this assistant coach or that specialty coach? How much can you pay him? Well, whatever your owners sign off on. So there's a multitude of things that can make it better for players, that can make it better for coaches that don't necessarily, doesn't show up on the paycheck for a player per se. But with deep pockets and an ownership group, yeah, heck, we have the third largest video board at a stadium now because of our ownership group, and a new beer garden, and a brand new team store. And it may sound like a lot of fluff and stuff like that, but these are all things that help the fan base. And you get brand new workout rooms and locker rooms and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden the players want to come play for an organization that seems like they care for them. A lot of different ways that great ownership can help out. This is usually just a post game wrap up show, man. I guess we could just get back to that really quick, and then maybe kind of wrap up and get out of here as well, Trevor. Overall, what did we learn from this game, and what should we expect as we take on the Raiders next week?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I just again continuing to adjust to a new quarterback, I think is something that we've learned. Again, Stidham's a completely different guy from Russell Wilson, so it wasn't just going to happen in one game. That's why I said in our pregame, I mean, it was such going to be a low scoring game, because I did not. It's really hard to flip that switch and all in one game, and it's just so I think going forward, just again need to see this running game get better. It don't matter
Mm,
who's back there in the quarterbacks. Look at a lot of the teams are in the playoffs right now. They have in the best offenses in the league. They have a good balance of running game and passing game. We talk about the quarterback all we want. Russ Wilson wasn't getting help past a couple of weeks from his running game. Jared Stidham really
yeah.
wasn't either. First half, yes. Second half, not really. So just continuing to see. Again, we're in an evaluation time now. So it's just talking about evaluating the whole roster, including
Mm.
quarterback, seeing what we need to fix going into the offseason. That's what I truly think Sean Payton is trying to do here. And I think if you try to do that, I think with this game in particular, because the playoff chances were so slim, it's truly evaluation time, and we need to see another week of what this offense is at. Questions about it, yes, probably. I mean, I think Sean Payton needs to open up the playbook a little bit more and stop being too conservative at times. But again, I think that this team has the right mindset going the next week. Beat the Raiders, end this losing streak against the Raiders, because again, you did it against the Chiefs. Let's see it against the Raiders. And I think that this was a game that you weren't facing the best team in the league, but maybe get some familiarity with Stidham, and some of these receivers. I think can help this offense going forward. The defense I thought played well today for the most part. So that's again some positive takeaway from this game. I know it's hard because I mean this offense was a little stagnant kind of today, but need to see improvements and just get evaluation of everything. So going forward to the next season, maybe we can fill the weaknesses and fill those with strengths.
Yeah. My evaluations from this game, boy, I mean, I would have liked to seen that offensive line again come together just a little bit better. Like you said, behind the running game, it was tough seeing McGlinchey go down, but we were able to go out there and for the most part hold our own on the offensive line. I think it was young Tyrone who came in here. I would like to see a few other guys get in there. I'd like to see Jaleel McLaughlin maybe start to get some more touches. I think we understand now where Javante's at, and I think he's just getting tired here near the end of the year. I think we need to see what we have there. I think we also know what we have in P Ryan. We'll have a decision to make. I think moving forward when it comes to Samaje P Ryan, exactly if we wanted to be part of this rotation moving forward. But that being said, you know, let's get a little bit of a look at Jaleel McLaughlin. It was good. For unfortunate reasons, it was good seeing a few different wide receivers out there getting involved, being part of the mix. Like you said, I think this is all about an evaluation time. Sanders out there on defense looking pretty good for the most part, looked really good actually. So starting to maybe get his feet underneath him, but maybe that's an opportunity for a JL Skinner in this next game. Maybe it's an opportunity for a Riley Moss to get a little bit more other than just special teams. So overall, guys, it's a way that yes, as much as I want to win, I'm right with you, Trevor. I think it's an evaluation type of time that we need to really start looking at our team, seeing what we have, where we can make those cuts, where we can renegotiate contracts, how we can get underneath the cap, where we can make additions, where we absolutely need to make additions, and start making some of these decisions. So, but overall, I'm excited for the Raiders game because I want to beat the Raiders. As my good friend Jeremy started us off, it's hate the Raiders week. Had another commenter come in and says, "Well, that happens 52 weeks out of the year, so we can appreciate that as well." So, but man, Raiders game always good. A great way to end the season. I got to give a little hats off to the NFL. I think they've done a fantastic job the last few years at scheduling these games to try to make it so where there are meaningful games in division, in the AFC or in the NFC, going down to the wire and trying to make these as exciting as possible. If nothing else, hey, it's Broncos Raiders. It's that rivalry that we all love to hate and hate to love. And it should be a good game next week. And I'll be looking forward to it because I think that we have a good opportunity to be a winning team this season, and maybe that's just one way we can start stacking once again. So I'm going to hit a few more comments, and then we can go ahead and get out of here. First off, Pearl Heater saying a big thank you to both of you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Pearl. Thank you so much. Yeah, comments were really full tonight, and I know that you were in there a lot, so sorry I didn't get to you a couple more times. I was trying, believe me. So happy New Year to everybody out there as well. Please be safe and be responsible, especially if you're deciding that there's going to be some drinking involved with your New Year's. Make sure you're getting that ride and getting it all lined up. Lots of different ways that you can do that, guys. Don't be ashamed. Just go up to your bartender and say, "Hey, I need a ride." And they'll get you all lined up in just about any situation. Um, my final comment, I think this is from our good friend Antonio, but my final comment is that I agree with you guys that we're not about that. Ooh, try that one more time. Agree with you guys about the not keep switching coaches, but you can't disrespect a Hall of Famer over and over again like he did, and then give us fans nothing to look forward to going forward. It's unacceptable. Period. Happy New Year, guys. Enjoying. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, man. We're enjoying you coming in here and being part of the conversation. And yeah, it's just an ugly, messy situation, man. I hope they can all kumbaya and come together and do what's best for the Denver Broncos. Like you said, we deserve it. So uh, Ernie Mays coming in saying, "Hello, Keith and Trevor. Go Broncos country only." I said 20-10. The score was 16-9. Broncos. Now let's beat those lost Vegas Raiders. And yeah, Ernie, you're pretty close with your 20-10, but Trevor, you're really close. What was your prediction?
17-10.
How about
That's what
that,
I had it
buddy?
on. 2 points. I no, I
Two
said
points.
to be fair, I said I didn't want it to be right because I want us to score more than what we have, but I guess I'll take it. Broncos win and close prediction, I'll take it.
All right, man. We'll have Trevor doing the spread next year. Roger says, "Thanks, guys. I don't mean to take it out on you. It's been a rough 8 years. Thanks for another great show, man. We don't take it personally, believe me, man. We all have our own. We're all fans, and we probably all have our own opinions that we try to hold back and hold inside for the most part. I'm not gonna let my personal thoughts hopefully get in the way of what's real and what reality is, guys out there. But you're absolutely right, man. 8 years, 8 years has been a long, long time. We're all wanting something better. So, and got Pro says we'll go back next year. So, um, Trevor, any final thoughts or comments before we get out, man?
Yeah, so just I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Again, happy New Year's to everybody. Again, I hope all your dreams and well wishes come true. Going into next year. Hopefully, again, hopefully next season, 2024 season for the Broncos will be a lot better than this year. But again, taking steps, baby steps. We're better this year. Not in the playoffs yet. Um, Taking steps forward. Hopefully, this team can be a 9-win team. Hopefully, going into next week against the Raiders. But no, just again, want to thank you guys all, and thank you guys all for accepting me and for this year. Because again, I've had a blast with all you guys every show. Blast Keith and Jody and Albert, everybody, Kenny when he joins us, Kurt as well, and then all you guys being here. You guys, honestly, it makes my day just seeing all you guys come in here and and you really help all of us continue to grow. We do this for you guys. Again, Roger, don't apologize for coming in here and ranting. That's what we love. That's what we're all here for. All here for wins, losses, don't matter. We're all here to come together and just get through it all together. That's what we've done for the past, couple months now on the show. And again, with Keith and Albert and Jody, it's been longer, but with me coming in here, it's just been a couple months and we really enjoy it and we love it. So I never apologize for that. You guys are, write a storybook. We don't care. We'll go through it. Go through it together. We go through it together. And again, thank you guys for continuing to support us. We really appreciate it. This is the show. We do it for you guys. And much love, Broncos fans. Happy New Year.
Yeah, we will we'll commiserate together. We'll cry together. But more than anything, we look forward to celebrating all together, guys. So that'll be coming. Stay strong, stay positive. It's coming around the corner, guys. And I just want to be very similar. Thank you to everyone that was out there. I can run through a few names really quick, but Jeremy, we had Antonio in there, Kenny Kirkpatrick in there, Pearl, Michael Ronquillo, Young Tyrone. Thank you very much. Dave Glassman jumping in, Roger being a part of the show, Martin. Thank you very much. Anybody else that I'm missing right off the top? Not that I'm seeing right off the top. If I missed you guys, I appreciate you guys so very much. This is the Denver Bronco Roundup. We're brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Rocky Mountain Sports Network is your spot for all your Colorado sports. So whether you head on to RockyMountainSN.com, that's RockyMountainSN.com, or just search out Rocky Mountain Sports Network on YouTube, Facebook, or X, man, you're going to run into the best Colorado sports from Broncos to Nuggets, from Rockies to Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche. Sorry,
Avalanche. There we go.
Avalanche. Yes, thank you, buddy. Check out the Rocky Mountain Sports Network for all of your Colorado sports needs, guys. And then Willow Seasonings and Blends, they are our sponsor. They're a Colorado-based seasonings and sauces company, guys. Also, Blue Ribbon Award winning as well. WillowSeasonings.com is the spot to get it. If you're online, that's WillowSeasonings.com. Last day to use DBR 2023 and get your 15% off your order. That's DBR 2023. Also helps out a family in need. Owner gives $1 to a Rocky Mountain Sports Network family who is in need as we speak, guys. So head on over to WillowSeasonings.com today and spice up your life. Again, guys, don't forget, you can always check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and X. But not only that, you can take us with you on Spotify and Apple podcasts as well. Got that all out, guys. If you guys are brand new to our show, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And know that this isn't the only show. We always do this post-game show, but we also have our pre-game show that comes on at Friday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then, of course, our OG, the original Tuesday Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. Check that out again, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Tuesday. Guys, appreciate it so much. Glad it was a win. Sorry the Broncos are out of the playoffs. It's going to be a fantastic next year, a fantastic new year. and hopefully a win to cap off the season versus the Raiders. Check out the show on Tuesday, like I said, guys. But until then, I want you to always remember, keep your boots in your stirrups, keep your guns in your holsters, and keep the Broncos in your heart. Until next time, guys.